There's nothing keeping you from the life and business you want except for you. And that's a tough pill to swallow, especially when we are so tempted to think it's the economy, it's the algorithm, it's some nefarious force holding us back and keeping our business from being successful. But if you're not where you want to be, it really comes down to three things: the way you're thinking, the skills you've developed, and the habits that you've lived every single day. But the good news is all three of those things can be rewired so that you can be set on a path to succeed in business and in life. And when you do, I truly believe success becomes inevitable. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to rewire your mindset, develop the right skill set, and form the habits that guarantee success in your online business. Hey, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Lane Sebring. This is my channel. I love to help freedom-focused online business entrepreneurs build the kind of business that supports their life instead of the other way around. If you're into that kind of thing, and especially if you end up enjoying this video, be sure to subscribe. It really helps when you like the video as well. So the first thing we're going to tackle is mindset. And I am one of those people who was very skeptical at first anytime I heard somebody mention mindset, because in my mind, my mindset was that if you're talking about mindset, you're not really talking about action or execution. And so I'm not going to see results from just hearing and thinking and talking about mindset. So it actually kind of frustrated me. And to be honest, in some ways, I felt like it was an excuse to not actually talk about how to do online business or how to succeed if we're just talking about mindset. And what's funny about that is I was missing something massively important about mindset. And that is, if I'm not thinking correctly about me, about my business, about what's possible, about the results that I want, then any amount of action is actually going to be thwarted because it's not going to do what I want it to do. I can take action, but if I'm not thinking clearly about it, I'm not going to take the right action. I'm not going to follow through on the things that work. I'm not going to figure out how to get rid of the things that don't. None of that stuff's going to actually happen if I'm not thinking clearly. And so when we're thinking about mindset, I first want to encourage you to not immediately write it off. If you're like me, and you may not be like me, and I hope so. I hope you understand the importance of mindset from the very start. But if you're tempted to be like me, just hang with me, because as someone who didn't really believe this stuff at first, I can just tell you it is everything, or at least it's one part of a three-part triangle that's incredibly important: mindset, skill set, habits. So most people fail before they even start their online business because their mindset is broken. They treat their online business like a hobby, not a business. So they go into it, and this may be something that you have experienced. They go into it with this idea that I'm going to piddle around with this, build a website, maybe start making some content, maybe build a course, maybe offer some coaching, but I don't really expect it to work. I don't really have an expectation that this is going to turn into something. And so it's just kind of like a side hobby, or if I'm feeling really ambitious, maybe I'll call it a side hustle. So I can tell people I'm hustling, but it's not really something that I take seriously as a business. And if you want your online business to work, you have to think like an online business owner. And so here's how to fix this way of thinking. Here's how to fix your mindset if you're tempted to just treat this like a hobby or just something you do, and you're not really focused on building something awesome. Here's the first thing. You want to define the life you want. And really, you want to define the business you want. Not just make money online, but get crystal clear. How much do you want to earn? How many hours do you want to work? How much freedom do you want? Let me tell you what this looks like for me. How much do I want to earn? My goal is $100,000 a month, a $1.2 million business annually. I want to do that working 28 hours a week or less. Why 28? Well, I work 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, about 7 hours a day. 7 times 4 is 28. If I could get that down to 25 or 20, that would be awesome. I'm not going to work a 40-hour week. I don't want to, right? That's what I had to do when I had a job, and I don't like jobs. So I don't want this to feel like a job. So I give myself a 3-day weekend every single weekend. Today, as I record this, it just happens to be a Thursday. Tomorrow, I will be on the beach and I will be paddleboarding with my wife. That's what I do most Fridays when the weather is nice. So for me, I did not want to build a business that required 60, 70 hours a week from me. So that's why I've landed on the kind of business and the business model that I do and that I teach. So my first business, Preaching Donkey, and this business, Lane Sebring, both have the same model. I'm taking something that is a skill, a set of experiences, a certain level of knowledge and passion that I possess in an area, and I'm teaching people online what I know and how to do what I know how to do. And I started out doing that at Preaching Donkey. Now I'm doing it here at Lane Sebring, teaching people how to leave their 9-to-5 by starting a thriving online business without hustle and grind and without having to build a large social media following. That's what I do now. So when I'm thinking about the life that I want to make $100,000 a month without working more than 28 hours. Well, how do I do that? Well, to do that, I need to have leverage. I need to leverage my time. I need to leverage my efforts. I need to be able to multiply everything that I'm doing beyond just the exact moment that I'm in. And so the other question to ask is, how much freedom do you want? So for me, I don't want to be obligated to just about anything. I don't want to have to attend meetings. I don't want to be obligated to a boss, a schedule. I want to be able to do what I want to do, take trips, take time off at my discretion and at my whim, not at the whim of other people. So that's how I've defined it. You want to be very, very specific about what exactly you want. Where do you want to live? Once your business has set you free, have you thought about that? Have you thought about the fact that wherever you live right now may not be where you want to be forever? When I started this business and went full time with it, I was living in Tennessee. And 2 years later, after going full time with it, I went full time in 2020. In 2022, my wife and I decided we no longer wanted to live in Tennessee. We wanted to live in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. So that's where we live now. Well, that decision was made because my life design had already been set a long time ago. It's like, when I get the chance, we're getting out of here, we're going to Florida. So that may not be for you. Maybe you live exactly where you want to live. It's just you want to live in a different house. You want to live in a better neighborhood. Maybe you want to work more than 28 hours a week because that's kind of what you want to do. Whatever it is for you, define exactly the life you want. And one of the ways that I love to do this is a little exercise where if I were to meet up with you 5 years from now and I were to say, hey, how has the last 5 years been? And your answer to that question was to me, Lane, I'm telling you, this last 5 years has been amazing. It's been everything I've ever wanted out of my life and out of my business. Describe to me exactly what you're doing 5 years from now, if that's the case. What are you doing? Where are you living? How much money are you making? How many hours a week are you working? What kind of work are you doing? What kind of clients are you serving? What kind of trips are you taking? How are you spending your free time? What fires you up today? What is the vision that you have for 5 years from now where you're like, this would be the life if I could live it? What would that look like? When I was working with a coach a few years ago, he asked me this question as part of the intake for the coaching. And I had to write out exactly what I want my life to look like if I, was happy and fulfilled in my business 3 to 5 years down the road. And so I wrote down an exact description of what my life looks like right now, except for one thing. And I'll tell you what that one thing is in a second. But in that description of my ideal life, I was living in Florida in this exact town. My kids were going to the same school they go to. We have a community of friends, which we have, great church that we're plugged into and serving at, which we have. Every single thing that I described 3 or 4 years ago in this coaching intake, I'm living right now, except I wanted to be making $100,000 a month, and I'm making $25,000 a month instead. So I'm making $300,000 a year instead of 1.2 million. Now, I am just as happy as I ever dreamed of being. So maybe I don't need 1.2 million. That's another thing that you need to understand. You don't need all this, right? I don't need to live 3 miles from one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen. And I've been all over the world at a million different beaches, and the beaches here are just incredible. The sand is white because of the quartz. Millions of years of quartz has made this like white sand that's just incredible. The water is like this emerald blue and clear and like emerald green, and then it fades to this kind of aqua blue and then darker blue as you get deeper. It's like unbelievable. And I don't need $100,000 a month to enjoy that, right? Like this morning, my wife and I, on the way home from the gym, stopped in Seaside, because Seaside, Florida is on the way home from the gym for us. And we had breakfast, ate steak and eggs, looking out over the Gulf and seeing this beautiful view. That was like today, this morning. I don't need $100,000 a month to enjoy that. Now, if I had $100,000 a month and I plan on building my business to that, there's a lot of things I want to do with that money to help people, to set my family up for not just joy in life right now, but permanent security and financial freedom. And there's things I want to do in terms of just my life and all that. Do I need it? No. Do I want it? Yes. Is that all that matters to me? Yeah. And you should just define what you want. Notice I didn't say define the life that you need, right? We're not defining the life that we need. We're not saying I need this. No, you don't have to need it. One of my favorite books that I read was called 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And in the audio version of this book, at the end of each chapter, they discuss that chapter's content. And this is not in the hardback. I have the hardback. It's not in there. This is just in the audio. And after one of the chapters, Dan Sullivan, who's like 100 years old now, he was talking to Benjamin, who's younger than that. And he was saying that this is one of the concepts that he lives by and has lived by for a long time. And that is, I don't need it. I just want it. And I want it because I want it. And I think part of a mindset shift when you're designing the life that you want, and especially the kind of business that you want, is to say, I don't have to need it to justify it. I don't have to need this future outcome to justify it to anybody. And I think a lot of people who are in business feel like they have to justify what they want, right? So for a long time, I felt like I had to justify that I want to make $100,000 a month. I feel like I had to tell people that, I mean, even just a few minutes ago, I'm trying to tell you, well, there's lots of good that I could do with that money. Well, yeah, that's true. But even if there wasn't, I just want it. And if I can earn it, if I can build a business that makes that, that is going to be the result of me serving people at a $100,000 per month level. So that money is earned, and it doesn't matter whether I need it, whether I want it, what I'm going to do with it. It just is. It just is. So think about how much you want to make. What is it going to take to fund the lifestyle that you want? And then what exactly is that lifestyle going to look like? Just paint the picture, paint the vision. Now, the second part of this, and this is just as important as defining the life you want, and that is believe it's possible. Believe it's possible. If you don't believe it's possible for you, you won't act like it is. Success leaves clues, and other people are already doing what you want. That means it's available to you. Here's what this means. You can have the life you want, and you can believe it's possible by borrowing belief from other people. I talked about this a couple of videos ago. I did a video, and this is why, I don't know if you've noticed, maybe you've noticed, but I've somewhat changed the way I'm doing videos. Because, and this is something that as you're making content, you learn how you work. You learn what people respond to. And what I have found is that the really highly polished, quick cuts, no mistakes, just boom, 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 that has its place. I like those kind of videos for certain kind of content. But I have gotten a lot of really good feedback from just having a conversation. So the way I'm treating my videos now is I'm just talking. It's almost the way I envision it is like I'm looking at a camera lens, but it's like I'm looking at you, and we're just sitting across the table talking to each other. And if you want to know like what it looks like, here's what it looks like. I don't know if you can see, but like that's you right there. I don't know if that's going to work or not. But I did a video, and on this video, I talked about how you have to believe and take action. You have to believe that the future you want is possible. You have to believe that you deserve it, or that it's yours for the taking. And then based on that belief, that deeply held, sincere belief that success is yours for the taking, you have to take action on that belief. Now, one of the things I mentioned is that you can actually borrow belief, because belief is something that kind of comes and goes. Sometimes it's very strong, sometimes it fades. It's the same thing in your relationship with God. Sometimes your faith in God, your trust in faith is just a word for trust or belief. Sometimes your faith in God is very strong. You just trust him, and you are walking by faith and not by sight, because you just believe and you trust. And there are other times where that trust and that faith might wane a little bit, and your faith isn't as strong. It isn't as rooted. And this is like life. Life is dynamic. And sometimes it's also the case that when it comes to believing about what's possible for you, it can change over time. It can be very strong sometimes if you get some inspiration, your mindset's in the right place, and then maybe it can wane. What I talk about is borrow belief. Borrow belief. So the way this looks is you want to find people who are living the kind of life that you want to live. They're building the kind of business that you want to build. And you have to convince yourself that if it's possible for them, it's possible for you. So let me give you two examples, all right? I borrow belief from a mentor of mine who makes about 10 times what I make. So I make about $25,000 a month. This guy makes about $250,000 a month. I am tempted sometimes to believe that the reason why he's making $250,000 a month is because he's 10 times smarter than me. He's 10 times more disciplined than me. He's 10 times better looking than me. That's not possible. I don't think anyway. I don't know what. This is the internet. I just opened myself up for like all the worst comments. It's not because he's smarter, harder working, better looking. If I believe that, then what I'm doing is I'm limiting myself, and I'm saying there's something special about him that I don't possess, therefore I can't have what he has. The inverse of that would be to say there's someone with a similar business model to mine making 10 times what I make. Oh my gosh, the possibilities, right? Like, oh my goodness. You're telling me that I haven't anywhere near hit the cap of what's possible? That I can make $25,000 a month and there's room to make 10 times that or more? So I borrow belief. I borrow belief like it's possible for him, then it must be possible for me. Because whatever he has, discipline, intellect, I can learn, I can become disciplined, I can form the habits, I can have whatever that guy has. Now, the other example is this. Let's say that you are stuck at $2,500 a month. Let's say, for example, that might be you. Maybe you're like, and to some people, you might be going, man, $2,500 a month would be great. But for other people, you might be going, yeah, I've been making around $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and I can't seem to break past it. Well, I would love, and I would be so honored if you looked at me and you said, here's a guy making 10 times what I make, and he's no smarter than me. He's no better looking than me. He's no more disciplined than me. He just is further along than me. And if you did that, if you used me as a way to borrow belief for yourself that making 10 times what you currently make is possible for you, that'd be a massive honor for me. I would be thrilled. So borrow belief, like believe it's possible for you, and then act like it's possible, right? So we've defined the life and business that we want, right? What kind of life is our business going to grant us? And then we're believing it's possible. And even if we don't believe it's possible for us, we're at least going to look at someone else who's done it. And we're going to say, if they can do it, I'm going to train myself to believe that I can do it. And then third, adopt an investor mindset. Investor mindset. This isn't about free hacks or shortcuts. It's about investing time, money, and energy into building something real. Here's what this means. Your business is an asset. It's an asset that you're building. And within that asset are a bunch of like mini assets. Here's what I mean. When I think about my business, I think about how anytime I'm working on something, I want to be building an asset that makes me money in the future. So for example, this video right now that I'm making is a digital asset that will be on YouTube, and then parts of it will be on other platforms forever. And especially on YouTube, it will be up there, and YouTube will keep circulating it to the right people at the right time, and they will see this video. So making this video is part of what it looks like for me to have an investor mindset. Because rather than doing work that has kind of a dead end right now, I'm making content because that's open-ended and it's continuing to drive leads to my email list into my offers, right? I'm looking at this as an investor. My mindset is like, this is the life I want. I know it's possible for me. Therefore, I'm going to invest in my business like it's an asset. And by investing in my business with my time, my money, and my energy, I am over time, slowly but surely, building something that is going to grow and make me money in the future. So business success starts in your head. If you think like an amateur, you're going to get amateur results. If you think like a pro, you're going to get pro results. What do pros do? Pro investors look for the assets that are going to win and they invest in them. So what's going to win in your online business? Content is always a winner. Content is the bread and butter of your online business. Content is the thing that does the heavy lifting for you. Content is the thing that goes out and like reaches people. There are people who will tell me that they feel like they know me, and to a large degree, they do, right? If you've watched 5, 6, 7, 10 of my YouTube videos, these long form videos, you know a lot about me. And this can be true of you. If you start making content, especially on YouTube, especially long form, meaning not a short, not a reel, not a TikTok, those are all great. But I'm just saying long form content, people will know you. They will start to know you. And that relational equity does so much for you. It builds so much of your know, like, and trust. They know you, they like you, they trust you. It takes, on average, 7 hours of exposure to you for people to feel like they know you, feel like they like you, feel like they trust you, and feel like you have the answer to their question, you have the solution to their problem. All of that is tied in to your content. So the thing that you can do anytime your belief is waning, anytime your mindset is waning, anytime you feel like, oh, what can I do that's going to move the needle at all? Make content, and make sure that your content directly connects people from the content to your email list so that they can become a lead, so that you can serve them at an even deeper level on your email list, nurture them, and then show them how your offers provide the outcome that they want. If you want to see how all this breaks down exactly step by step, lanesebring.com/super simple. This is my super simple guide to starting a thriving online business. In this guide, it's free. I show you the 6 steps that I've used to build a multiple 6-figure online business. And so if you're looking at this and you're going, okay, all this mindset stuff is great and define the life you want and everything, but just give me the steps. Here's the steps, okay? I'm just telling you the mindset's more important, because if you don't have that, the steps don't matter. But if you want the steps, they're there, lanesebring.com/super simple. Now, the second thing is going to be your skill set. So the first thing is mindset. We have to change the way that we think. The second thing is our skill set. And the third thing is our habits. Anyone that I've ever seen who is successful in life, but especially in business, their mindset has to be on point. And then from there, they have to develop the skill of doing their business, of running their business. And that skill has to be translated into habits, like what they actually do day to day and week to week. In my next video, I'm going to break down the skill set and the habits. For this video, I'm going to leave it at mindset. And the reason why is because I want you to really resonate and marinate on this idea of mindset. How do you think about yourself? How do you think and what do you think about what's true and what's possible? So let me ask you some questions for you to think this through, and we can work this out in the comments. Please feel free, have a conversation with me in the comments. I respond to every comment. I want to see it. I want to see what you're thinking. The first question is this: what do you want? What do you want? What do you want from your business? What do you want from your life? Again, we broke this down. How much do you want to earn? Where do you want to live? How many hours a week do you want to work? What kind of products do you want to sell? Who do you want to serve? What kind of freedom do you want to have? Do you want to be able to take trips whenever you want? Do you want to be able to pick your kids up from school? Do you want to be able to afford to have a house cleaner so you don't have to worry about that ever again? What is the life that you want? Let's talk about that. And then once you've defined that life, hear me on this. Do you believe it's possible? Do you actually believe it's possible? My hope and prayer for you is that if you don't believe it's possible, that you will work on that one thing: belief. Borrow belief from me. I've said this before, but I did not come from money. I did not come from like entrepreneur success people. I came from a working class blue collar family. And I have figured out how to believe it's possible for me, execute on that belief, and build a business. Thank God. Thank God I have the life that I want, the life that I dreamed of as a kid. So borrow belief from me, or find someone out there who's doing the thing that you want to do, living the life that you want to live, and borrow belief from them. Because if you don't believe it's possible, it just won't happen. It's frustrating to me because having been someone who used to be very skeptical about the idea of mindset, I don't know how to say this in a way that will pierce through to someone who's like I was, right? So like, just if you're skeptical, just believe me. As someone who used to think this was like BS and woo woo, it's just true. It's so freaking true. If you don't believe it, it won't happen. And if it does happen, it's going to be completely accidental, because everything in your mindset is working against it, which means you're going to work to like self-sabotage. You're going to try to make it not happen just to prove to yourself, just so your brain will be able to be validated. Like, that's how the human mind works. We want to be right more than we want to be successful. We want to be right more than we want to be happy. So please work on belief. Do you actually believe it? And if you don't, work on that thing. And then if those two things are in place, right? What do you want? Have you defined that? Work it out in the comments, or email me if you want. We'll work it out there. Do you believe it? And think like an investor. Adopt an investor mindset. What does an investor do? An investor finds assets, builds assets. Your biggest asset right now in your business, especially if you're just starting out, if you're trying to get to like that $10,000 a month mark that we always talk about, content is going to be your biggest asset. So, do you have a good content plan? Are you making content? Is your content directly connecting to your lead magnet? Do you have a good lead magnet? Something that's attractive and that people want, that gives them a quick win and a compelling promise? And is that lead magnet pointing them back to email list, putting them on your email list, so that then you have a good sequence of emails that's showing them exactly how you solve their problem? It's called an offer. Sometimes that means a course. Sometimes that means a coaching package. Sometimes it means a community. It could mean a book. However you want to solve their problem, is that crystal clear in the email sequence? By the way, to put all this together, you need Kajabi. LaneSebring.com/Kajabi gets you a 30-day free trial. Kajabi is a software. It's an all-in-one online business solution. It's everything. It's your website, it's your payment processor, it's your course hosting, membership site hosting, it's your podcast hosting. It's every single thing that you do to run an online business is hosted and powered by Kajabi. And it's just awesome. 30-day free trial with my link, plus 3 exclusive bonuses that will help you get started on the platform. So if you're making content and you've adopted the investor mindset and you believe it's possible and you've defined the life that you want, you have the makings of a mindset that is setting you up for success. Like, this is the thing that if you don't have this, nothing else matters. It just doesn't. Nothing else matters if you're not thinking the right way about what you're doing. So in my next video, we're going to get into skill set and we're going to get into the habits that you need to form. But right now, we're just pulling over and we're parking on this idea of mindset. So let me know in the comments which one of these resonates with you directly. Let's chat about it. And in the meantime, while you're kind of working through this, here's a video that is related to what we're talking about. Kind of goes in a different direction. It'll take you a step further. So if you're looking for something else to watch about this issue, click right there and I'll see you in that video.